5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition. Engines full power. And liftoff. Go Crew-5.
It's just so awesome. That was the moment the Falcon 9 rocket successfully launched into space. It's NASA and SpaceX's latest mission to the International Space Station.
The mission, called Crew-5, it has an international crew, including the first Native American woman to go to space, who's the commander of that mission, as well as a Russian cosmonaut. Ron Garan joins us now for more on this. He is a former NASA astronaut who has made 2 trips to the International Space Station. Ron, tell us what was going through the minds of the crew as they successfully launched into space?
Well, as you said, 3 of the 4 folks on board had never flown in space before,
Right.
so I'm sure there was a lot of excitement. And then Koichi Wakata from Japan, from the Japanese Space Agency, is making his 5th trip to space. So he's the veteran on board. But they're filled with excitement. For probably most of them, if not all of them, it's a dream come true, a lifelong dream come true. And so I'm sure they're enjoying microgravity right now.
And we saw a piece of it in this clip, but as they arrived, they put up, a doll that looked like Einstein from our untrained eyes. But what is that moment like as someone who's been to the ISS when you feel zero gravity and then you enter, that workspace to get things done?
Yeah, well, the doll is a very technical thing. That's the microgravity indicator. that's so everybody watching at home knows that they've made it to 0G.
Ron, what do you have on your mission?
It's amazing because
what was your zero G? What was your zero G indicator, talisman?
It was a little. My last mission was with the Russians, actually on a Soyuz, and it was a little stuffed dog that our Soyuz commander's daughter gave us. So that was our microgravity indicator. But imagine you're being pushed into your seat at three times your weight at 3 Gs. It feels like an elephant sitting on your chest. And then all of a sudden, when the engine kicks off, you're weightless instantly, and it's an incredible feeling.
And what about crossing into the International Space Station itself? As you mentioned, for a number of people aboard this mission, it will be their first time. What happens then? What is that moment like?
Well, the folks who just launched, they have about 28 more hours to go before they get to the space station. But it's amazing because you're in this little cramped vehicle, and then you dock to the space station and you open the hatch and you're into this gigantic orbiting research facility, and it's really a spectacular feeling to know that you're on board this amazing accomplishment of it really is an amazing human achievement that the International Space Station can be orbiting our Earth every 90 minutes and just producing cutting edge research while we're doing that.
A human achievement, in some ways born of national competition, all of the space races and such. Yeah. But then also, we've seen increasingly in more modern history that there's been collaboration among researchers. As you mentioned, we have a very well-seasoned Japanese I'm not sure if the word's astronaut, a member of Japan's space program who's going to be there, as well as a Russian cosmonaut on board. Despite those geopolitical tensions that are currently happening between Russia and the U.S., what is it about space exploration that has the potential to unite people?
It's awe and wonder. I mean, what we did in the space program back in the 90s when we brought the Russians into the International Space Station program was to set aside fear, set aside our differences, and embrace awe and wonder. And, awe and wonder and fear are 2 very powerful motivators of action, but only awe and wonder leads to long-term action. Only awe and wonder leads to collaboration and leads to an ability to self-sacrifice for a greater cause. And we've seen all of that play out in this partnership. In spite of everything that has happened and is happening in Ukraine, there still exists cooperation in space. We have our Russian cosmonaut on board that SpaceX capsule today.
Ron, where is awe and wonder going to take us next?
The awe and wonder is our path to the future that we'd all want to be a part of. And part of awe and wonder, of embracing awe and wonder, is relinquishing our tight death grip on fear. Because right now we live in a very fear-based society. And the space program, space exploration, is an example how we can embrace awe and wonder and rise above all these things that we quarrel over and fight over and that we think are so important. And because awe and wonder is a very unifying factor.
And as you're speaking, Ron, we're just watching the first stage of the rocket return back to Earth. As you speak about this remarkable human achievement, one thing that struck me as we were watching this live was that, you know, we still don't know what happens to the human body in space. It's such a new advancement for us to explore that edge of, you know, our universe. What are you looking for out of this mission? What surprises and jumps out at you?
Well, the crew that just launched, they're going to be heading there for 5 months, heading to the International Space Station for 5 months. They're going to conduct over 200 experiments. Many of those experiments, as you said, are based on a greater understanding of the human body. Specifically, there's a lot of work going to be done in cardiac research, because that, you know, one of the things that happens when you go to space is your heart realizes it doesn't have to pump as hard because it's not fighting gravity. Right. And so there's a lot of things that we need to overcome for long duration space travel. And
did you get taller or shorter after coming back to Earth? Shorter. I know there's like right, your body changes.
Well, did it actually affect you, Ron?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, your gravity's not, you know, scrunching your spine down, so you do grow an inch or two, but you don't get to keep it. As soon as you get back into the 1G environment of Earth, you have to give back your newfound height.
Give back the inch. It's all really just incredible. Ron Garan, thanks so much for speaking with us about this.
Thanks, Ron.
My pleasure.